Good evening, everybody. We're here at the Bellagio for the second episode of Poker Tonight.
We've got a great show in store for you today, and the first topic on our agenda is what else? The World Series of Poker.
Now, event number 3 started today. That was a $1,500 no-limit event. Last year, that event was won by Brandon Cantu. Brandon's going to be here a little bit later to talk to John Friedberg about the bracelet he won last year.
That's great. And actually, I heard a field of 2,998 people showed up for that event, and that's the most players ever in a non-main event WSOP tournament.
Absolutely, and the first prize in this tournament is over $750,000, so it's really a great event that's going on down there, event number 3. Now, Phil Ivey wasn't so lucky. He busted out of the tournament pretty early, but he has some plans for the rest of his day.
I just got knocked out real quick.
What happened to you?
Well, I built it up to 6,000 right away. I won a big hand with 2 kings, and then I just dwindled down. I lost a big hand with 2 jacks, and I just lost another big hand. I flopped a straight flush draw, and the last hand of the day I had ace jack against 2 10, so I'm out.
So what's the next event you'll be playing in?
Tomorrow, the pot limit Omaha at 5 o'clock. I'm just happy to get the day over with quick. Yesterday I played till 1 o'clock and didn't get any money. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you're happy to get the day done with quick. You do something else fun. What are you planning on doing the rest of today?
I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet, but it's probably going to involve playing poker at probably the Bellagio or here. We just have to set up the game. Another
early casualty of event number 3 was Mike Matusow. I never thought a flop as innocent as Queen 8-3 could be so dangerous.
Well, I got a hold of some chips early, like 4,500. I was playing really good. The table was playing real weak. They were letting me raise a lot of pots. I had the table in fear of me, which was really good. And I limped like 2 hands before, and I with 3s, flopped the set, won a nice pot. 2 hands later, I got 3s again. I limped. Another guy limped, and then another guy made a mini raise. I was sure he had aces, right? In my mind, the way he raised it. Another guy called. I called, and he called. Now it came a 3-8 queen with 2 hearts, and I led the pot 5 1/4. And the next guy who limped behind me raises it to 1,600, and my eyes just blinked up 3-8s because.
Why else?
Why else would he raise there? He knows the guy behind's got a big hand, and now the guy behind jumps in and moves all in. Now. I'm not worried about the guy behind because I got 1,600 more than the guy behind, and I really thought he had a big pair. So now I had to go into the tank. Does he really have 3-8s? And I didn't follow my gut, and I was sure he had it too. And I called, and the funny thing was
there was a twist, right?
Well, there was a twist, yeah, because when he turns it over, I go, I got a set. He goes, shit, like that, right? And I was like, really? I thought you might have had 3-8s, just like that. And all of a sudden, the 8s come rolling over. I knew you had 3-8s. I played so bad. I was so mad. And he said, no, the reason why he said shit is because he had seen the other guy who rolled over the 3 queens before he saw my hand.
Yeah.
And that's how it went down. And I get a short day's work today, and get to come back tomorrow.
Event number 1, which was a $5,000 mixed limit and no limit event, began again today at 4:30. The chip leader going into day 2 was Greg Mueller. And since the time of the tournament was delayed due to the lack of tables, Lizzie got a chance to meet up and talk to him.
The hecticness at the Rio forced them to start later. There's no tables, so we can't play until 4:30.
Okay, so you're going to be starting at 4:30. You looking forward to starting this event as the chip leader right now on day 2?
I'm very much looking forward to it. Unfortunately, the blinds get up so big that obviously having a lot of chips helps, but it doesn't really mean that much.
So what's it like playing an event that's mixed hold'em with limit and no limit?
I love the event because I used to be exclusively limit player, and now I've transitioned over to no limit, and I know both games pretty good, and I think it gives me a lot of advantage over exclusively limit or exclusively no limit.
Are you noticing a lot of the players are better at one or the other of the games?
Big time, yeah, and some of them joke around. Some of the experts at no limit are like, I'm just going to walk around for half an hour during limits, so I can tell that some are intimidated by either game, and me knowing both games, I feel very comfortable.
So how'd you build such a big stack up yesterday on day 1?
Actually, most of it was during limit. I believe that with no antes and no limit, people are gambling too much in the no limit stages. There's no antes, which there usually is, and so
That's got to affect the play.
Yeah, it slows it down a lot, and I don't know if everybody's been able to adjust to it. So I've slowed down a lot in the no limit and been more aggressive in the limit, where the chips are actually bigger.
And what are they going to be starting with today? No limit or limit?
I believe we ended with limit, so I think we'll be starting with no limit.
Event number 1 will conclude tomorrow. Now, the lines for registration at the Rio are still outrageously long, and players haven't forgotten about yesterday's card debacle.
You're right. I mean, after the first couple of days, it's going to take them a lot less time to register people, and they're going to have the system smoothed out, I hope, and it should be a lot better. And they've already started to make changes based on the players' feedback. They're already bringing in different cards than the ones that they had initially.
Oh yes, I heard the card debacle.
Yeah, there's always a few things like that. Everyone always complains the first couple of days, and I think rightly so, because they've had 11 months to plan for this over the last year, and this is the third year they're doing it here. They've done a lot of great things. It's a great room to play in, and the dealers I had all were pretty good. And it's hard to bring all of this together. So there's bound to be a few hiccups, but so I'm looking forward to the rest of the series, I hope, and not having to wait in any more lines.
Christy, what exactly happened with the cards at the World Series yesterday? I saw so many players that were very upset.
Well, they're upset because they debuted a new set of cards.
Okay.
And the font was a little hard to read the board because the 6s and 9s were getting mixed up. The font was really skinny, and so...
So what did they do about it? Did they change it?
Yeah, actually, last night during play, they put new cards in, and the second they did that, everyone cheered. And actually, a funny fact is that Jeffrey Pollack, the WSOP commissioner's, his name was printed on those cards, and his name was spelled wrong.
I heard that. Is that true?
That's very true.
Wow. Earlier today, John Friedberg told us about how he did in the Mixed Hold'em event. He also talked to Brandon Cantu about the $1,500 no-limit event.
Hi everyone, John Poker Chip Friedberg here with another episode of Stacking Chips, your strategy source for the 2007 World Series of Poker, Bellagio Cup, and the dozens of other events in the coming weeks here in lovely Las Vegas. Today I'm going to talk a little about my experience in the 5,000 buy-in Mixed Hold'em Championship and have my good friend and fellow 2006 bracelet winner, Brandon Cantu, to join me to talk some strategy and pick his brain about a couple of difficult situations that I was repeatedly faced with in the 5K event yesterday. It was an absolute madhouse at the Rio yesterday. Thank God I went and bought in for the 5K Mixed Hold'em event a couple days early, because when I got there, the lines were like wrapped all the way around the building. Nobody was moving. Everyone was complaining. It was a complete nut house. So I sit down to start the tournament. It's a $5,000 buy-in, and this year they've doubled the chip stack. So we started with $10,000 starting chips and 25-50 blinds instead of the 5,000 chips and 25-25 last year. Anyway, so I'd say about 10 minutes into it, I went a little crazy with the ace-5 of hearts, ran into an ace-king, and tried to outplay the guy, and right away lost about half my stack. Then proceeded to dwindle down all the way to about 1,000 in chips. I had one chip left at the second break, $1,000 chip. Somehow ran that up to about 11,000 when I made a raise with 10 jack of hearts. I think the blinds at that point were about 2 and 400. I made a raise to 1,200 with 10 jack of hearts. Big blind called me with a king queen. Of course, the flop comes 10 jack 4 with 1 heart. Long story short, we get all our chips in on the flop, 9 of hearts on the turn, which gives him the nuts, but gives me a flush draw. But I break off on the river, so I busted out last night around probably 10 o'clock or so. But yeah, got off to a terrible start, but managed to nurse the short stack enough to get myself back in within range of being average, and then of course kind of got coolered a little bit, so to speak. But that being said, it's all good. We got like 25, 26 more events on my schedule alone, so I'm excited. A lot of more play coming up. Today is going to be the 1,500 no limit event that Brandon Cantu won last year. And that being said, let me bring Brandon on to talk about his experience last year and a little strategy for this year. Brandon, how you doing, man? It's good to see you. So you won the $1,500 event, well, the first real event last year, the $1,500 no limit hold'em, which is today.
Right.
So talk a little bit about how that went for you last year and what your plans are for today and this year in the World Series.
Well, that event last year obviously went really well, so I've been thinking about it the whole year about this event, this one event. Which, have you been thinking about your event that you won?
Absolutely, except I don't think they're running my event this year, so I can sort of hang my jersey on that one.
Right. Well, this has been the one event that, I don't know, I really want to defend my title, really want to make a good showing, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, so tell me about, just real quickly, how your experience was last year. Did you get off to a big stack right away, and were you able to play that stack the whole way, or were you short stack? What was it like going through your 3 days last year in the event you won?
I was really short, really short, like the whole way, maybe till about 27 players. It was amazing how long I just held on and played the short stack, and I was actually really impressed with myself on that. Then it got down to about 27 players, and I started to get a few chips. And then right before the TV final table, I became chip leader. I won a big pot, became the chip leader, so it worked out perfectly well to go sleeping on the chip lead. A lot of pressure, but it feels good. So
yeah, I watched your episode on ESPN, and there was one hand where I don't remember exactly what all the action was, but you had pair of eights in your hand. Your opponent had ace queen, Flop came an ace. I know there was some raising and re-raising
Right.
pre-flop, I think. Flop came ace, rag, rag. He makes a bet, I think, and
Right.
you make a big raise, and he folds his ace-queen there. How did you get him to fold that hand? What had led up to that to allow you to make that play and have him?
Well, that was an interesting hand because I actually raised, and this guy had not re-raised anyone. The tightest player by far at the table. I mean, this guy was absolutely just really, really tight. So when I raised it to 100,000, he re-raised me to 300,000. I almost folded my eights three-handed, but I kind of had a lot of chips. I put him on jacks, queens, kings. But those were really just a big pair. So I call him, and here comes out the flop, ace high. I really didn't put him on an ace. I just didn't think he was re-raising me with ace king, ace queen. Just he bet into me, and trust me, if I would have known he had ace queen, I would have never re-raised, never. But somehow it worked. I just think the big reason that he laid it down was because the money difference.
Yeah.
It was so top heavy. It was like 750, 450, 220 or whatever it was. Big money difference. So I think.
Well, it was a great play, well executed. I couldn't believe he folded the hand. I mean, when you're watching that stuff on TV, sometimes it seems like such a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're really there with the lights and the cameras and the people, and like you're saying, the money differences, it really puts a lot of pressure on things and
Right.
can force people to make bad decisions sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk to you. I want to pick your brain a little bit about strategy in poker, right? So yesterday, as I mentioned, I was nursing the short stack all day, which I do claim myself to be a short stack ninja. But there is one situation that I got into a lot yesterday, more than normal, and that was I was hovering around the 10 to 15 big blind, stack size. So, in the middle stages of a tournament, it kept getting folded to me. And in late position on the cutoff or on the button, and I would look down and see like an ace 6 or a king 10. And this, for example, what do you do in that spot when it's folded to you, you're in late position? Let's pretend you have 4,000 in chips and the blinds are say 150, 300.
I'm tighter than most players in the beginning stages. If I have a lot of chips, I like to take flops and get in, but if I'm like that, I really like to fold. I'm a really big person on folding. Unless you know how you get to know your players really well at the table. If I know that it's a really tight player, maybe I'll raise it and try to steal his blind. But I just try to stay away from hands like that when I'm short. I don't like it because it just seems like whenever you raise, at least I run into this problem. I raise, big blind is all in. It just seems like, they know that it's for your life. They probably have ace 9. I just don't like to get into those situations, so I try to just fold.
Yeah.
when I'm short, when I'm in that area. So
That's actually usually what I do too. I mean, the only exception I'd say is when there's antes in the pot that are pretty big relative to the blinds, and there's enough in there for you to take. And in that case, I'll usually just shove in that position.
Right.
But again, it depends on a lot of things. But yeah, yesterday I was short stacked all day. It kept getting folded to me in late position. I would look down and see, king 10 or ace 8 or just, mediocre hands. I didn't want to raise, you make a standard raise to 800 or 900, and they push you in because they have more chips than you do. And I just hate, putting my tournament life in that type of situation. So I tend to surrender there myself.
I swear that when that happens, and you raise in that situation, they never let you go just once. When you just want to chip up just a little bit, they always call you, and then somehow you always get yourself in trouble. At least I do. So.
Yeah, well, that makes the two of us, but So one other thing, the World Series of Poker. You and I played in a lot of the World Poker Tour events in the last 12 months or so since the World Series last year. Much deeper stacked tournaments than what we have here at the World Series. So what is your sort of thought process, and what approach do you take going into these short stack tournaments? I think today's event, it's 1,500 buy-ins, so we'll have 300 starting chips. Sorry, $3,000 in starting chips, and the blinds will be $2,550. What is your strategy early on? Are you going to try to build chips early? Are you going to play tight and take advantage of the weaker players? What type of strategy do you pursue?
I think I'm gonna start up playing tight. I think I'm just gonna more wait for my hands. I think that's what I did last year. It seemed to work pretty good. People just kind of fall into it. You wait. I kind of wait for my big hands. Maybe I'll limp in here and there. Some suited connectors, obviously my pairs, but I'm more gonna wait for my big hands to attack. I don't think I'm gonna go too crazy on hands where I just don't have it. At least I'm going to try not to. How that works.
Probably a good idea. Well, Brandon, thanks a lot for coming out today. Best of luck in reclaiming your title from last year's 1500 No Limit Hold'em and doing a repeat this year. It's good to have you. Appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, that's it for today's episode of Stacking Chips. Make sure to tune in tomorrow and every day throughout the World Series for all kinds of strategy talk, interviews, updates, analysis, and more right here on Card Player TV. And don't forget to email me your questions at stackingchips@cardplayer.com. From John Pokerchip Friedberg
And Brandon Cantu,
we're out of here. Good luck, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks so much, John, and better luck in the next events. Another player who's doing really well right now is Dave the Dragon Pham. He's got a decent chip stack in event number 3, the No Limit Hold'em event, and he's looking for another bracelet.
Now, Pham is also looking to become Card Player's Player of the Year yet again. He already earned that title once in the year 2000. Pham is currently 3rd place in Card Player's Player of the Year race, and he has over 3,000 points.
Oh, right now it's still a lot of people.
How many people are in the tournament?
Oh, I really didn't know. I think maybe like over 3,000.
Did you get to start to play at the beginning, or were you an alternate?
I started playing beginning.
Because there was a lot of alternates.
Yeah, I know. I've been knocked down to 800 or 900.
Really?
And now I'm back up.
How'd you do it?
55, feeling strong. Good. And hopefully I get
cool.
passed for today.
So you're up there in the Card Player Player of the Year leaderboards. If you score here, you might jump a little higher. What would it be to be Card Player Player of the Year to you? What would it mean to you?
Oh, I've been Card Player of the Year in the 2000.
Oh, I mean again, yes. Let me rephrase that. What would it mean for you to be Card Player Player of the Year again?
Okay. Hopefully I can make it again like a Man Master here, 4-time Player of the Year. And I already got 1 time, 2-time runner-up. And this year is still a long way to go. Especially the World Series Poker is over a month. Hopefully I score something. And today just feeling strong when I knocked down very low and back up to 5,500. So still, like I said, it's a long way to go. I hope I can pass today.
Thanks for tuning in to Poker Tonight. Be sure to check back on Card Player TV for a new episode tomorrow.
Now, tomorrow we'll have Vice Presidential hopeful Greg Raymer here on the show. We're also going to have lots of summer tournament action, so you don't want to miss it. Good night, everybody.